Today we're going to discuss a pretty heavy topic, one that'll make you feeling heavy, and that is narcissism. Let's take a brief look. It's called NPD, Narcissist Personality Disorder. Let's take a look at some symptoms. Extreme envy, exaggerated sense of self-importance, sense of entitlement, difficulty distinguishing between external and themselves. You see, everything is internalized. Nothing just happens. It happens to them or against them. They can be very manipulative and controlling to get what they want. However, I'm going to offer a different take than what some of the other YouTube intellectuals do. To me, narcissism is a response. Dr. Gabor Mate described all addiction as a response. I personally agree with this definition. This is a software issue. Let me start with this. Guilt is saying, quote, I did something wrong. Shame is, I am wrong, unquote, is one definition I've heard. Narcissism is a software issue, meaning you're not born that way. It's not some other type of human being that's just naturally born. It's an extreme form of low self-esteem. This is why they constantly seek the validations of others. It can be brought upon by childhood trauma or even residual adult trauma. I would also like to say this. Just because I said childhood trauma, that doesn't mean to over-psychoanalyze children. They're in development. They're meant to be a little bit selfish. But away from that side note. Remember that this addiction, this narcissism, is directly linked to fight or flight. It is linked to our survival mechanism. This person with this affliction is addicted to dopamine. It is every bit as addictive as crack and fentanyl. There is no difference. In fact, when you are addicted to drugs, you are addicted to those same brain chemicals, just with other drugs added. It's just the addition. What happens oftentimes is in childhood, if they have poor parenting in their upbringing, there was weak or confusing boundaries. So the result is they begin to seek out and develop their own boundaries. They make them. They manipulate them to their own purpose. And again, I am not saying that this is some hopeless type of person, though it can seem like it's so rare that someone like this changes. Yes, but it doesn't mean it can't happen. What needs to be done, and this is the hard part, awareness. Extreme awareness, whether that comes from repetitive conversations with others who bring this to this person's attention, or whether somehow, and it can, come within. I would say this. I'm going to apply in my brief video today the authoritarian mindset to this condition, because it's one and the same, and I will explain. Someone with a more authoritarian mindset in public life, or if they're not in office and they're voting for the same person, even if not in other aspects of their life, are engaging in an extreme form of social narcissism. They're looking at others and saying, I have to approve of the way love comes to me from them. Now, this happens because in some cases, and I've met people like this, they had bad parents, so society or the country became, in a way, the new parents. And they are going to dominate and control, because their identities are linked to it now, how they receive love from these new adopted or created parents. Do not underestimate what this narcissist authoritarian will do to receive that love in exactly the way they want it. This is why people will make laws and pretend it's for public safety. I used the example in another video, locking people up for marijuana. And there's a lieutenant governor in Texas right now who wants to make it more criminal again, even though some states and 85% of its population want it legal. Now, this is not about politics, and it's certainly not about cannabis, and I don't engage in that. I am talking about what psychologically goes on in the head of someone who looks at another human being and says, I don't approve of them, so they deserve to go to jail, have their finances disrupted, etc. Whatever the law would be. It could be something else. It's because that other person isn't living within the creative, manipulative boundaries that they made, for which the conduit for which they expect to receive their love from their country, their newly adopted parents or created parents. This is why I say, if you're in a narcissistic relationship, personally, get away safely. Of course, in public affairs, that would be maybe done at the voting booth. So, that is the link, folks. It really is a deep psychological link. People are attaching their identity to something, and once they've done that, just like a partner, they're going to control and manipulate how they receive that love. And they will go to the lengths of destroying the lives of others to do it. That's not an exaggeration. It's already here. This has been done historically. So again, when someone wants that approval that badly, that it's linked to their identity, you are fighting a much more powerful force than debating the medical specifics of cannabis or discussing public safety at a county council meeting. You are talking about a much deeper shadow that you are dealing with. Awareness is the cure, is the treatment, and is difficult. I know many of you are saying, good luck getting a narcissistic person to become aware that they are being so. It can be done, and I've seen it done. As I said, remember that they are addicted to dopamine. They are addicted to the very same thing that keeps people hooked on crack, fentanyl, alcohol, xylazine. And like them, this trauma, anxiety, low self-esteem response can be treated. Therapy can save the world, my friends. I'll end with this. Awareness begins with a moment of emptiness, when you realize that you are not empty. Now we're getting to the core. Love can be forged and then expressed. If you are or know someone who is narcissistic, Hopefully they will see that it doesn't always have to come from the validation of others through boundaries that you have manipulated. Awareness begins with a moment of emptiness when you realize you were never empty. I'm Daniel Michael, Warrior Seed.